Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Saturday morning to you all. Hope you guys are waking up and having a wonderful start to your day and a great beginning to your new weekend out there so far. We got a few things to talk about in this morning's video, and the first thing we'll speak on is current conditions, the latest outlooks, and then we'll break down the country section by section, kind of the same flow we've been doing over the last few weeks. There is a couple states we'll zoom into, get a little bit more detailed on that do run the higher risk of strong to severe thunderstorm activity for today into tonight. So we'll do that after we get done talking about today's weather. We'll speak a little bit on tomorrow and then the next day as far as the Storm Prediction Center outlook. There is going to be severe weather days out ahead of us, but I'll be honest, they don't look quite as bad as maybe they did a couple days ago, but they still need to be talked about. So we'll speak on them. And then we'll give you an update on the tropics. We'll mention a couple other things in between. And then at the very end of the video, if you're interested, we'll have a Bible devotion, just speaking the word a little bit. Now, I'm in my playroom. As you can tell, I made the move, and I'll probably quit mentioning that probably from here on out. I know I've said it a couple times throughout the last several mornings, but you know, it's such a slow time. Some people are watching, some people aren't. Some people are jumping back on after not watching for a while, so they might be wondering, what's up with your background? It's pretty bland. I made the move from my bedroom to our playroom in our house, and I got my own little section of the house now, a little corner. But what I was trying to get at is my door is open. Normally I close it, and the cats and my dog is just running back and forth, and nobody else is really up in the house right now. And Copper, my husky puppy, he does not like when I close that door. So I'm just letting him run back and forth. If you hear any noises, occasional bark, well, I mean, that's just kind of the homey atmosphere we have on this channel. So let's get rocking and rolling. So, oh yeah, if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, please put it in the comments below. That's very important to me. So gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to pray over it also. And certainly consider subscribing if you haven't and liking the video. So now let's get rocking and rolling. So this is current conditions. We do have a big area of heavy rain that's just spinning across the northeast. This is our surface low that strengthened and ejected off the right side of this trough, and that is what this is. We'll have other impulses of energy that'll swing down into areas of Virginia and the Carolinas, the Mid-Atlantic, that will bring another round of afternoon showers and storms. I don't think it'll be comparable to yesterday. And speaking of yesterday, there was certain areas that got hit very hard with this enhanced risk area in the Carolinas and the Georgia, but those other areas are probably wondering, man, what the heck was that? That was hardly nothing. And that's kind of my area. We didn't get hit hard at all. In fact, I chased a little bit yesterday, and the area that I chased, it just seemed like normal run-of-the-mill summer thunderstorms. But some areas got hit hard. Somebody that I talked to a little bit on social media had a tree fall in their house, I believe, near Aiken or Augusta. And then we had a couple tornado warnings, actually more tornado warnings in the Carolinas than we did in like Virginia and the Mid-Atlantic, I believe. But anyways, round of storms moving across the peninsula of Florida right now. The middle of the country is pretty quiet, little spin right here in the Dakotas. And we do continue to have a little bit of flow across the extreme northwestern portion of the Pacific Northwest. And a little bit of moisture has snuck into the southwest. So getting a little bit closer to the more wetter season, monsoon season down here, but not quite there yet. But anyways, this is current conditions. Latest Storm Prediction Center outlook. Right now we have a three kind of trifecta, if you will, trio marginal risk. One across areas of the upper southeast, central apps, and mid-Atlantic. Level 1 out of 5 there. Level 1 out of 5 across areas of southern Florida. This is out ahead of the line of storms sweeping across Florida right now. And we do have not only the marginal risk, but a slight risk across areas of southern Kansas, Oklahoma, down to about the Red River here at the border of Oklahoma and Texas. Level 2 out of 5 risk there. Now, what's driving these categories here? There is a 2% risk of a tornado here. From Wichita down to Tulsa through Oklahoma City, Norman, all the way to just about north of Wichita Falls. 2% risk of a tornado. Now, the wind threats, these marginal risks have, a 5% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. But right here in the yellow, that is a 15% risk of winds exceeding 55 to 60 miles per hour. Hail threat. just a 15% risk of hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. Nothing too crazy. As of right this second, there is no risk of significant severe weather, but that doesn't mean that we couldn't see it. You guys know that by now. But the excessive rainfall outlook, 5% risk of flash flooding here in Oklahoma, and then up here in New England, we do have the 5% risk of flash flooding occurring in the green right there. And then in the shade of yellow, that is a 15% risk of flash flooding occurring. And this is really for, sections of Vermont, but very small sections also of New Hampshire. So now let's bring it down to the watches, warnings, and advisories. We continue to have these flood watches up for areas of the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast. Even some wind advisories up because of this deepening surface low. Certainly a pretty strong surface low coming off the base of this trough that's ejected north. But then we got some heat advisories in the orange, and that pink right there is actually a red flag warning. So it's dry, it's hot, so just be aware and certainly take the caution needed as far as fire danger and stuff. Don't be dragging no change or throwing cigarette butts or leaving any campfires certainly not taken out, if you will. So let's get rocking and rolling past this. The southeast, we have this line of storms that continues to surge across Florida. That'll be a storyline down there. Pack a punch in some areas, for others probably not as much. And then we start to swing this down into Virginia, North Carolina. We could get some thunderstorms right into this area. So I'm going to zoom into that and zoom into Florida. But as you can tell, listen, today's probably not being talked about quite as much in regards to strong to severe thunderstorm activity. But North Carolina, we could have some storms that could produce some small hail, things like that. So, but, just taking a closer look at the state of Florida here. If we continue to move forward, as you can tell, storms continue to race south across the peninsula of Florida. So by about mid-morning, 10 a.m., these are around Sarasota over to Palm Bay. And then we take it to about lunchtime, and they're getting a little bit further south, West Palm Beach. And, by the time they get all the way to Miami, maybe it starts to break up a little bit. Not quite as strong, but could still get a strong to severe storm out of this line. And heck, by the time we get into this evening, most of the peninsula of Florida should be fine outside of maybe some pop-up activity. Now, we take a look at, say, North Carolina, Virginia. We got to watch these areas. Like I said, just a marginal risk of severe weather, but do not, there's dry air aloft. There's energy kind of pivoting around this trough anchored across areas of the eastern U.S. So this little short wave kind of piece of upper energy swings down, provides enough instability to get some storms going. So it's around 5 p.m., some pop-up thunderstorms with enough flow to boot with them, around, probably eastern Kentucky over to Roanoke, down to Greensboro, Hickory. And there's enough cold air aloft that these storms could certainly produce some hail. And so just definitely be aware of that. Some damaging winds possible. Tornado threat will be very low with these because there's just not as good overlapping conditions compared to yesterday for tornadoes. But we could have more of an organized line of storms that sweeps across eastern North Carolina. But just be aware of these storms. A lot of this will not get down to South Carolina, but definitely can. But up here in the Northeast, and I will kind of zoom into the Mid-Atlantic here in a second, but just a big slug of rain. We got this surface low. This is kicking up some strong winds across New England. This is about midday. That's about 1 p.m. And we got a big area of rain kind of getting thrown into Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, even eastern sections of New York. This will continue to spin around and then head north. And by the time we get into tomorrow, just some kind of back inflow around this low pressure. But we could definitely get some thunderstorms in the Mid-Atlantic, the D.C., Baltimore corridor down here. In fact, let's go on and just get a little bit of a closer look at this here. Starting off around 9 a.m., take it till 10, noon, and already around lunchtime, we're getting some pop-up thunderstorm activity around Maryland. And then we get to about 2 p.m., could get some stronger cells. I mean, this is D.C. to Baltimore. You get down to Salisbury, Dover. Thunderstorms are possible in this area. And like I said, just be aware of some hail with these cold air aloft and some brief gusty, maybe damaging winds, but not a high-end severe weather day, kind of a cold air aloft type setup. So I imagine these storms will have some really pretty structure with them, because when you have a lot of dry air with storms, a lot of times the air mass, when you visibly look at it, is cleared out. So Kind of a day where you're getting thunderstorms where the dew points are lower. This normally means that these storms can contain a good bit of small hail normally. So just be aware from lunchtime to about the evening hours for a round of thunderstorms that will move across areas of extreme eastern West Virginia, Maryland, southern PA, northern VA, and then across the Tidewater and the Delmarva area. So, I forgot to mention this. The rainfall map between now and about 8 p.m. Sunday, good bit of rain could fall. A lot of this is picking up on what's happening right now, but up here, not so much. I mean, this is the come. So a couple inches of rain, the area in red that you see, I mean, that's over 2 inches of rain that is possible. So certainly a washout to at least start your weekend up here. Now moving to the south central U.S., just kind of a broad look at things. We get to about late this evening, an area of energy could get going as far north as southeast Nebraska, but especially, in Kansas. We could get some pop-up downpours across New Mexico, southern Colorado, but this area of energy will surge south across Oklahoma and eventually get all the way down into, there's that bark I told you about or warned you about. And then they'll get all the way down to northeast Texas, the Arklatex area. So just a closer look at this cluster of storms because the HRRR model doesn't look all that impressive. And I think the model guidance is really going to struggle with this today. But here's a closer look at Kansas. We start off around 11 a.m. We take it to about early afternoon. This is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You see the thunderstorms kind of popping up, very isolated about here. Get to 8 p.m. You get to 9 p.m. You see the thunderstorm activity in southeast Kansas more so, but these could produce and really pack a punch, produce all hazards, pack a punch, tornado threat pretty low. But listen, these storms could certainly be more organized than what they are showing. And I could see these storms kind of extending back here closer to Dodge City through Hutchinson. And I just think model guidance is really going to struggle with these. This is 1 a.m. Most of this energy is trailing out of Kansas at this point. So we'll jump down to Oklahoma. And this is starting off around 7, 8 o'clock. We take it to about late evening. We get to about midnight. Watch out near Stillwater, Bartlesville, up to Tulsa. It does show an organized area of storms. But like I said, from Elk City to Oklahoma City, it's not showing much. But I could see a lot of thunderstorm activity in this area that model guidance is not handling very well. But, certainly if you live in central to eastern Oklahoma, a line of storms late tonight, certainly have some alerts ready, your radio on if you got it, or just alerts on your phone. I don't think this is going to be an outbreak of severe weather overnight, but certainly in eastern and central Oklahoma, you can get woken up with some loud storms that could pack a punch. And this will eventually get all the way down into the Arklatex, and just taking a closer look at, say, northeast Texas, and 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 7 a.m. See those these storms are like all the way into Sunday morning. So they don't even really get down to northeast Texas until like the wee hours of the morning. But just be aware of them. The north central U.S., it's a pretty quiet weather day. It's a nice weather day. There's nothing really to speak on at all, but just want to show you folks some love. Hope you guys are doing good up there. I know my loyal viewers up here in the UP and Michigan and Wisconsin and stuff, but it's a nice day. It's a nice day of weather. There's nothing really to speak on, talk on at all. The western U.S., kind of the same thing. One thing that's interesting that we haven't seen in a while is the return of moisture down here in Southern California and Southern Arizona. A little bit of push of moisture from the south. So that's interesting. By the time I'm waking up tomorrow morning, could get a nice little surge of moisture into southern and southwestern, especially Arizona, southern areas of California. Rain could eventually get you guys all the way up into Las Vegas, but just looks like a more kind of a rainy, I would say more of an energy-filled day of weather across areas of the western U.S., but you can tell we're going to have to watch Texas tomorrow. You got some supercells popping up, but we'll speak on that when we need to. Now, for temperatures, unfortunately, because of that kind of back-end flow around this trough, it is going to be a miserably chilly day across New York, areas of PA, and I mean even Ohio. Like if you live in northeast Ohio, it's going to be cold for the last day of May standards, which by the way, we're about to enter June. That is just crazy. But there is a pretty sharp temperature gradient, decently I would say, across the mid-Atlantic. Goes from the 50s and 40s to the 60s and 70s once you get into Virginia. It's a nice day in the Carolinas. It could be much hotter, but 70s and 80s, that's it. Then you get into the middle of the country, and it's pretty nice. Unfortunately, like the UP and Michigan, is going to be pretty chilly today, but it's going to be a nice day for the most part. Should be. But the central U.S., man, it is hot. certainly a nice day. It's not, I'll say hot, but it's not that bad. It's actually comfortable, but it is definitely warmer. And then the Southwest is starting to bake. I mean, getting very hot in certain areas, the Valley of California, the Southwest, 90s and 100s widespread. So the Storm Prediction Center outlook for tomorrow, we have another marginal risk across areas of the Carolinas. It's another mid-level impulse of energy swings down this trough. So we'll kind of have a day tomorrow that's like today, but maybe a little bit further south into northern South Carolina. So we'll have some cells capable of producing some small hail. We got a marginal risk up here in the northern Rockies as energy begins to shoot across the Rockies. And then we do have a slight risk down here. Now, we got to watch this. Slight risk level 2 out of 5 south of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, College Station, Huntsville, Waco. You guys have this. This is probably going to get a little bit larger. But as of right now, the tornado threat is a 2% risk. Wind threat, 5% risk of damaging winds. And the hail threat is a 15% risk of winds hail exceeding 1 inch in diameter or larger. I could see a couple of these categories increasing, especially looking at the latest H-triple-R model, which does show some supercells in this area. So we definitely need to watch out. We'll get a little bit more detailed on that in the next video. But certainly a risk of strong to severe storms here in Texas tomorrow. And then we start to move into day 3. We'll kind of make this larger. And we're going to have a risk of strong to severe thunderstorm activity across the middle of the country. I would say a much larger area compared to the last couple of days. Well, compared to today and tomorrow. This is for Monday. We have a slight risk going from northeast Colorado through the heart of Nebraska all the way into eastern areas of South Dakota. Level 2 out of 5. And right now, we just have a 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in a given location. Marginal risk does go all the way up to the Canadian U.S. border up here in Minnesota, all the way down here to like Lubbock, Texas, all the way back to well west of Cheyenne, Wyoming. So pretty large corridor that does run the risk of strong and severe thunderstorm activity. And then we get into Tuesday. Very scrawny, slight risk, but it's pretty large. So, I mean, it goes from about Abilene, Texas, all the way up to north of Madison. So this entire yellow area, this does include Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Fayetteville, Springfield, Missouri, Kansas City, Columbia, Missouri, up through Davenport, Dubuque, Madison, Rockford. You guys run a 15% risk of severe weather within 25 miles in the given location. There's nothing past day 4. So right now, not a crazy high-end look to this, but this could uptrend. And we are certainly watching this. But moving forward, give me a brief update on the tropics. No tropical activity is expected within the next 7 days. We continue to watch areas of the Caribbean for some activity. And, you know, if we sit here and we look at the Euro ensemble from the overnight hours, and remember, this makes up about 50 members and then one control run. And it does have a few members on the Atlantic side between now and the next 10 days. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I messed up my count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think around 13 to 14 members out here out of around 50 members. So it's not a huge percentage, but there's a little bit more member action compared to, say, yesterday morning. But the actual operational run is not showing much. And you see a lot of L's over here. And if you're wondering what you're looking at here, so the Euro ensemble makes up about 50 to 51 runs. 50 runs and then one control run, I believe, is how it works. And on this output on Weather Nerd, which, by the way, is a free site, kind of finicky to use, but it's phenomenal when it comes to the tropics. And on this output, it kind of puts all the individual members on your screen so you can see all of them, how strong they get. Now, some of them can be very, very strong members as far as, you know, a tropical system. Some can be very weak. So you kind of, you know, you average out all these members and, you know, that creates a mean, kind of like just normal averaging up numbers. But anyways, on the Euro Ensemble, 51 members, and, you know, it does show a percentage of members forming on the Atlantic side, which is what I pay attention to on this channel. At least I don't talk much on the Pacific side unless it's going to impact the lower 48. But we do got a few members out there now. The GFS ensemble from overnight, this makes up, man, I always brain fart. How many members is it? I should know this, but I don't. I always get confused if it's 21 or 31 members. Let's see, 21. That's what I wanted to say too. So this makes up 21 members, so not near as many, but you can tell most of the members form something here. And guys, this is only, heck, I think this is only like 8 to 9 days out. But the GFS Ensemble always follows its operational run, and this is the operational run. Guys, I just want to tell you guys, please, it happens a lot on Facebook because these Facebook pages, some people tuning in might not know much about how much money you can make on social media. Some people might already know this, so if you do, then just ignore it. But you can make a lot of money on social media. My Facebook page really isn't that big, but some of these Facebook pages that have 100, 200, 500,000 followers, and they talk about the weather, some of them just kind of get lost in the, I guess you would say, the mini fame, and they kind of lose who they are and really have no morals, if you will, and they will just blast all kind of information and provide no context, and they know that most likely it's not going to happen. But let's take a look at what the GFS is showing, and my dog is just going crazy in there. If you look at Friday afternoon, and this is this coming Friday afternoon, June the 6th. Make sure I have my days right. Yeah, June the 6th. The GFS is going to pop off a tropical storm by the time we get to around this time next week. You know, as a 995 low south of Cuba, it continues to show this, and then it develops it even stronger, hits the Florida Keys as a strong tropical storm, and then basically grinds up the entire western coastline as a hurricane around day 9, day 10, the 9th and the 10th. Now, the GFS has been showing this multiple times over the last several days. And what I was saying with the Facebook posts and just social media, people are going to post this stuff because they know it's going to get a lot of likes and shares. And they're just, some people are going to post it and say, you know, they'll post it and they'll say, don't believe this is going to happen, but this is what the crazy GFS is showing. But they know what they're doing. They're posting it and saying that, but they also want those likes and the shares and the money they are making off posting it. But really, there's no business at all posting it. But I'm showing it because you want to try to look for the pattern. Does the pattern support this? And it does not. But sometimes, as we know, the GFS can be correct. But there just really hasn't been any upgrades with the tropics lately when it comes to the GFS. So, but I actually had to stop the video there a little bit because my dog was just going into super bark mode there. And I don't mind him barking in the background most of the time because I know most of you folks don't mind at all. But to me, it really just throws off my flow when I'm speaking. But anyways, what I was saying is sometimes we can look at the GFS, and the GFS can be good at sniffing out a pattern. For example, you know, maybe it consistently keeps showing something forming in the Caribbean. And things like the euro really isn't showing much. And the euro does have its own bias also, as a weak bias, where it really likes to keep tropical systems weaker than what they probably will end up being. And that does play a factor in things. So in a way, you want to kind of combine both. But I like, when it comes to the tropics, combining both, but leaning a little bit more towards the euro. But there's times when the GFS was right last year. But one thing that I will watch for as we get over the next several days is that the GFS just continues to back off in timing with this, or just completely does away with the scenario of a hurricane. But it is interesting. For example, this is 10 days out on the GFS. If you look at the euro 10 days out, it shows absolutely nothing. So just remember that when you look at these posts on Facebook, before you hit that share button, just be careful what you're sharing. So that's it. That's pretty much our update this morning on the weather. Let's go on and move to this, and let's do a little Bible devotion. Let's pause this. And this morning we are in Matthew chapter 6, and it's verse 34. It says, "Therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, because tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own." So I think that speaks to every one of us, especially me this morning, with over the last couple of days. I'd tell you the last week or so has kicked my butt. I've been challenged with that more than ever. So that speaks to me a lot too. I tend to, I don't know about you guys, but I tend to plan ahead a lot. And I don't think there's anything wrong with planning ahead. I think there's certainly something wrong about worrying about things that haven't even happened yet, and trying to be super controlling about certain things that are coming up to the point where you lose patience and you rush something that doesn't need to be rushed. But just focus on each day, guys. And I'm speaking like directly to myself too. Just focus on each day. Put all your energy into that day. When tomorrow comes, you focus on that day. And I think that really helps God to really work in your life that much better when, you can sit there and you can hyper focus on the next 24 hours and the impact you can make over the next 24 hours. It's okay to prepare for the days to come, but try not to worry about them. So that's all I got. God bless all y'all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning. I do want to mention, I think tomorrow evening, I might do a video just kind of discussing in more detail about the pattern ahead. I might not, but I know that I haven't made a lot of nighttime videos lately, and it's just because there hasn't really been a ton going on like there is in winter and hurricane season. But I might just talk about the pattern coming up kind of for the first half of June and spend some time on that. But I did get a lot of stuff ordered for my backdrop, guys, yesterday, so I think I'll be able to work on that tomorrow afternoon. I'm very excited. I'm going to be honest with you, it has been a pain in the rear end to set all this stuff up. I've had to rerun my cord multiple times. I thought I could do this, I thought I could do that, and all this and that has not worked out very well. So the transition has definitely kicked my butt as far as getting things the way I want it, but I have to realize that maybe the things in the ways that I want it maybe isn't the way that it's supposed to be, and I think sometimes that's just God speaking through the situation. So that's all I got. You guys have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.